You might say this is an experimental or in development type saw that was shipped to me by a sponsor. The only thing I can tell you about this is that the model number is BM10A. Though it is not a DeWalt tool, it's compatible with the DeWalt batteries. It's an 8 1/4 inch blade that is also a sliding blade, which allows it to make cuts that are wider than the cuts for my DeWalt saw over here. The cutting width on my DeWalt saw is just about 8 inches to the end of the throat plate here. So we know that it can't make a cut that wide. The throat plate on this one is 13 inches. So we do know it's not going to make a cut 13 inches long, but we'll do a test cut also to find out how wide this one does. A couple of other features that I like about this saw. You pick it up with one hand. It's got the 2 hand holders here, but you could pick this up with one hand pretty easily. I won't be able to pick this guy up right now because he is screwed into my sliding shelf over here. And the reason why that slides back and forth is that when I have the car in here, I could push the saw out of the way, but when I need to cut, I could pull this saw out and make my cuts. So it being light definitely is an advantage, but after doing a couple of test cuts, one of the disadvantages of it being light is that it's also a little flimsy when you have longer pieces on there. Though this saw is very portable, I would recommend screwing it down or clamping it down to a board before using it, because it is a little, I don't want to say wonky, it is stable, but it's because it's lighter, the heavier pieces of wood make it shift around a little bit more. And for safety reasons, it's better to have it clamped than to have it slide around on you when you're trying to cut wood. Another great feature on this tool is that it's got a laser light for doing measurements, which I like a lot, and I wish my DeWalt saw had that, but it does not. So as you can see, that makes it great for cutting. So we draw a line on a piece of wood. It makes lining it up very, very easy. Using this saw all day long, put it to the test. As you can see from the amount of sawdust, it's been put to the test today. I like it. I like the fact that it does slide. There's no way I would have been able to make these 45-degree cuts on my miter saw, my DeWalt miter saw on the inside of the garage. So I needed that. Unfortunately, I mean, I don't think it's the best tool to use with this size wood. This was a 2x12, but I cut it down to a 2x10 in order to make those rips, those cuts, those 45-degree cuts. This knob here adjusts the height. So if you need to make like a half lap joint, there, see the saw is not all the way down now. So if you wanted to make half lap joints, this would be a perfect tool for that. I would absolutely use this for half laps. It did struggle. I switched out the battery a couple of times. I will say that the first battery wasn't fully charged. It was in another tool, so I took it out to put it in this. And then this one was a freshly charged battery. So it does what it's supposed to do. It took forever for me to get the 45 accurate, a lot of trial and error. So having it there, I never moved it since because I didn't want to have to mess around with it again. So if I needed to do a straight cut or a 90-degree cut, I brought it in the garage and used my my circular saw instead. Once I had it dialed in, I didn't want to mess around with it. I don't think it's that great of a tool in terms of that part of it. But to be able to use this on a job site, to carry it around, like I said, it's very, 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 very light. Very light. Even with the battery in there, it's very light. I just don't think it's good for material that's 2 inches thick or 1.5 inch, like a 2x4 or whatever. Maybe a 2x4 because it's not as wide as this, but other than that, maybe for moldings. But again, once for me, I felt like it needed to be dialed in. And then once it was dialed in, then I felt comfortable making the 45-degree cuts with it. I can almost picture this being on a French cleat, hanging up in the garage somewhere. I think that would be pretty cool because the tool is so light. You could probably do that with it. I think that's about it I'm going to do for today in terms of this saw. Get these battery charged and get ready to use it again for tomorrow.